Or it was just, I just was on some list. I think it was just a meeting invitation. So maybe it was nothing.
That's what I got, was just you're invited to the sports sector meeting on June 14th. And I might have said, include me on those invitations. I very well probably did.
I know, same with me. I just don't remember it. But then I thought, well, is there something going on that you think that we should join in, or what? That's what I was just kind of wondering.
Well, actually, as we're starting our work with the Aspen Institute, they're going to need representation from the school sector. Okay. So they'll most likely be giving updates in the sports sector. So maybe down the road, it would be something you would want to attend, but like the June meeting, you wouldn't need to attend for the sports sector meeting unless you wanted to hear what they were doing.
Sounds good. So yeah, just let us know then.
Yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, they only have 2 projects going on right now, which is that mapping project and the Aspen Institute State of Play report. So
yeah, as far as the mapping project, I think we're still just in the data collection phase. So they're just asking for people to send names or contacts of organizations that offer youth sport programming, or maybe like foundations that offer some sort of like funding sources for, so like the whole system of what supports youth sport in Kansas City, those types of names for organizations.
And I had attended that one of those meetings, I should say. There's just been one, but they've had it a couple times, different times. So
yeah, I think the next meeting should be near the end of June, but they haven't set a date yet.
Yeah, I guess we could probably just talk about what each sector is doing. So that was sport. Parks is kind of like at a standstill too. They have one implementation project that was funded. And this isn't just about implementation projects. This is just kind of trying to get involved and spark ideas for how we can, achieve the strategies in the KCPA plan. But the park sector, they funded WeLinks for, it's a mini golf course to try and increase youth participation in golf. And this was during Corporate Challenge, so it was a small event. Besides that, we are focused on having themes or topic focus areas throughout each month. So this month we are talking about bikes and bicycling in park areas because of Bike Month. I think we don't have anything for June. July, we're going to talk about summer camps. And I know after that, we have a couple different like park focuses on their different golf courses between Frisbee golf and then just regular golf. But that's kind of what they're doing. Mass media, we just got approved for the overflow proposal to create a marketing strategy plan. So we'll have branding and all of that for each of the sector groups here soon. So that's moving forward. We're meeting, I believe it's June as well, with just the core work group, and then we'll meet with mass media, and then we'll bring in different members of the different sector groups for input. What other, I'm trying to, healthcare. It's like, which other sectors do I support? Healthcare, we have our curriculum group who's focused on lifestyle medicine. So that probably isn't really relevant to schools right now. There's the Just Walk group. We're starting a new walk at Harris Park. Would love to target schools in Kinston, Missouri. We are looking at relocating our Pearson Park location, and I'll know more Tuesday about that. We're going to have an open discussion and like maybe Johnson County and doing a walk there, because that's been, an idea for a while. Then there is the billing and reimbursement group, which is kind of still on hold. And that's all really healthcare is doing. Natalie, you gave the update on sports. Early childhood, what are they up to?
So what we've been working on right now is this resource list. They identified that as something they wanted to provide both families and early childcare providers to help give them resources to make a more physically active environment, and just give them some toolkits, reports, guidelines. So we've been doing this for, 4 months now, and I think we have our list edited down that we think is the best resources. And our next step is sending it out to providers, and they're going to review it, maybe tell us something we missed, or maybe one of these resources is outdated or they don't really use it anymore. And then we'll provide, our implementation project is around incentives to provide those providers if they fill out our survey. And then we'll put those on the KCPA plan website.
Oh, Robin, you're muted.
Sorry, just question on, you said an incentive you're utilizing to get providers to fill that out so you get their back that information. I know we haven't thought of anything like that, but I wonder, is there an opportunity to do something like that in schools to get feedback from teachers or whoever we want, you know, maybe as in a way to, I mean, would there be funds to do something that we could incentivize it somehow?
Yeah, I was just thinking that too, like maybe we do something similar for teachers and like compile a list of resources to engage youth in classroom settings as well, not just PE, to get up and move, and what kind of resources that would help them out. And we could put together a list, send it out just like the early childhood group. And the incentive part with the funding, so the funding that we have for the school sector, the implementation projects, that's what we would have to do, is we would have to apply and just say that it's an incentive. And so that would be easy, and I can put something together if we want to move.
Well, maybe even just
idea forward.
Yeah, thinking for like an early fall, like to do launch, because that'd give us time to work on something, as well as then maybe there's a place for them to include, hey, what are we missing? We're missing something, they know, I mean, they have, or and then maybe there's even a little couple questions about, you know, would you want to be part of this? What would work? Or if not, who would you, you know, recommend? Or I don't know, something like that. I mean, I don't know how the incentives are, but you know, if it's something somebody could get an opportunity, I don't know if it's a gift card or whatever that looks like, but that might be a nice something in a way to get some feedback. Maybe.
Yeah, too. I agree. Natalie, what are the incentives that?
So they've talked about multiple options, like initially like gift cards and things, but I think they've decided to go with actual like books and literature and handouts, like things you would have to purchase to do these activities at your early childcare center.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So they would actually provide
the materials
as an incentive.
Because some of the, not the ones on here don't have cost, they're like virtual ones, but these are like books and DVD sets and things like that that they think of are high quality ones. Based on like, it was like childcare aware, like those agencies in both Kansas and Missouri, these are resources that they recommend. I don't know if you guys, I think it was in the newsletter, the maybe February one, they had those Dr. Kraft trainings, which I wasn't familiar with her, but she's a researcher in the early childcare setting for physical activity. And she hosted virtual trainings where those providers can get credit hours. And they're thinking of bringing her here to do an in-person training. So it's her like book set and resources that I think that they're going to distribute as these incentives.
That's actually really cool, and a great idea for us, kind of.
Yeah, the thing with this group, like the early childcare sector, I think we're lucky in that we have a lot of the like state representation organizations. So they were like experts on these resources and which are the best ones, where I think we need to get more people that are actually in the schools to help us assemble this list.
And maybe that's what we start with. That's an incentive to, would you help us with this? And it's a give. I think giving them resources would be fine. Some of them might enjoy getting something that they could use for themselves, as far as, you know, oh, I can go to the movies, or I can go out to eat, or I don't know, something like that. And then maybe if there is a resource we would find that is well worth than having that if we get them more feedback. I think that's something maybe we explore a little more, and maybe
It might,
Christine might have more thoughts on that too, but
it
Yeah,
might be a
and
little
I know,
harder for you guys because just the age range that you're serving is so much bigger than early childhood.
yeah. But we could also like, just kind of pilot and decide on like, we could just do K-5
yeah,
and start there
Yeah.
if we wanted to.
that probably makes sense too, to start with one, because their resources kind of look quite a bit different, and
Different.
it's a piece
Yeah,
of-
and it'd be easier to pinpoint schools too. Um,
yeah.
okay. Well, Natalie, I was gonna pull up the February, but I think I forgot to file it in MailChimp, so it's not on the KCP plan website. So I'll do that after this meeting if anybody was interested in what Natalie was, that newsletter and that resource she was talking about. Well, I think that's a great idea. Does
Well, I
anybody
think it would
else?
help move forward with our goal of, professional development, even though it's maybe not specific, but it like that we'd be developing, but providing these resources, finding out where the resources are, that would go in with our strategy. I feel like our strategies that we're trying to move forward in. Anyway, maybe I don't say it exactly like we have it listed, but
Yeah, because I feel like our implementation groups that we did form, which was advocacy and professional development, kind of just like dropped off.
yeah.
And maybe trying to get those back up and going and focusing on those would be a great way to like move our group specifically forward. Yeah.
And also, I
I
think
like
from what the people we're trying to reach, what they have to say or what they find, we may do a survey and find, oh, they need something specific, or these are all these resources we didn't have, or some of that maybe too.
Yeah. I don't know why this made me think, you just saying that, and it's definitely a different topic, but I was thinking resources and mental health and physical activity. But Natalie, what did Bill say that he's doing? He's working with some organization about the benefits of sport participation and mental health.
I think he's hosting some event, but I would have to ask him about that. And he's got a chicken and pickle tournament in August, I think, that's supporting like some mental health organization in Kansas City. But I'd have to follow up with him because he just threw out a name and I didn't know who that person was or what organization they were with.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that meeting recording because I know he was talking about it, but that just got me thinking like, I don't know about resources that we provide, kind of connecting that to the benefits of like getting up and moving and mental health to
Right.
students. Like there's plenty of it out there. I guess it doesn't really deal with professional development specifically, but that was just a thought.
I was thinking, since we're having such a hard time like engaging people within the schools, is something maybe we could do is host some sort of like clock hour event to like invite people to, so they like get something out of it. And then maybe we could introduce them to what the goals of our group are and could engage people that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea as well. And that's another thing, like trying to pinpoint who to talk to. Like,
Yeah.
I've emailed everyone on our list and and new people too, who've just been referenced to me from different districts, but getting them to actually either respond. And again, I'm trying to like have an open mind about the fact that, a lot of them are busy finishing up classes and that could be something, a problem. The time we meet isn't always convenient. So how do we kind of fix that?
Yeah.
And then just like, who and how do we distribute the information? I know that, I don't know if it's for all of Wyandotte County or if it's just it can't just be the Turner School District, but they use a app called Peach Jar to distribute information to parents. I don't know about teachers though, and how they get that information to them.
Yeah, and I was also thinking, I can't remember, is somebody from Bike Walk KC on this specific school sector one? I don't know if Natalie is, or if Laura kind of does Parks and Rec, or they kind of all over, but we've been working with Natalie through our grant. And so we're trying to, our goal, of course, is increasing physical activity in schools. So we're working with contracting with Bike Walk KC to do blast in the schools. And so Natalie will go in and schedule an appointment with the, the PE teacher, whoever the champion is for the school, and kind of survey the school and talk to them. I'm just wondering, like, when she, and she's in all districts, when she goes over there, if there's like a question we can add to her when she's going to speak with these PE teachers or whoever the champion is about whatever we decide we want to ask. But I mean, she's there, boots on the ground in the school talking, because it's part of how they receive the program is how she goes over and does like a site visit. So, I don't know, maybe adding one more question that could benefit us. I mean, I'm not trying to put work on her, but I'm just thinking while you're there and you've got their attention, which is the hardest thing for me, is getting them to respond back. Is there something that we can think of that would be beneficial for her to ask?
Yeah, and that would be incredibly helpful because it's like, reaching the audience we're trying to.
Right, exactly. So I'd have to think about it, or, but yeah, I mean, because that's definitely part of, putting blast in the schools, because you have to see, do they have a big enough area outside, or does it look like it needs to be inside? And then again, like the biggest one is who's the champion, who's going to be responsible for, sometimes it's PE teacher, sometimes it's the principal. Those are pretty much the two ones we worked with, but maybe we'll have to think about that.
Yeah. I really love that idea, Jill. I'm trying to think of like what to ask to.
Yeah, me too. There's so much I would like to ask. I just don't know if she'd have time to like.
Yeah.
There's a lot more questions I'd like to ask than she probably has time to ask. But, and Katie, we in the past, this may be a repeat, you may have all heard this, but we have sent out like a Survey Monkey to all the Johnson County Elementary PE teachers, nurses, and PTA. And we haven't done it. It's probably been a year, but we just kind of asked them, are you interested in Safe Routes to School programming? If so, who would the champion be? Have you participated in the past? What events? I mean, if there's anything, and of course it would only be to the Johnson County schools, but if there's something we could add to that survey that we send out that'd be beneficial, we could also do that. That wouldn't be any big deal, just to add one more thing.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I mean, it could be something as simple as like, are you interested in learning? Actually, I don't know. I'd really have to think about this.
Yeah. But so in that, we try to make it like a super quick, like less than 10 questions. And we'll send that out, and I'll have to check, because I don't want to, the turnover. I mean, sometimes you can send it every year. To double check on when I sent it out last. But that's an easy one.
Some of the different coordinators, like PE coordinators for some of the districts, are also teachers. So then they're adding that on top of their things too. So, or that I don't know so much about it. Some of the districts though have the nurse like lead who may also be on the wellness committees, so maybe is there a person that's ahead of the district wellness committee outside of school nutrition, maybe that's actually, has in each, that they're in buildings and talking with that. So maybe there's those people we need to, if we hosted an event, we could look for who are those individuals that we would invite like that, or reach out with a survey. I know we've talked about that, and then things, with schools, and we just never an event that we might get together, because of course we couldn't, but maybe there's an opportunity to do something. I think timing's so difficult because they start school, they're really busy, and then they're busy all through. And now when they're done, they're like, I'm done. Most, some of them have a 10-month contract or a little longer, but it's sometimes difficult, for finding that.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of my friends who are teachers. It's just like, once the school day ends, it's just they're beat and exhausted, and adding on anything extra just doesn't seem possible.
So if there was somebody that was more of a coordinator position that wasn't in the classroom, I'm sure they're very busy too. I don't mean that, but they might have more opportunity to be able to actually attend or call, some of the call times and stuff. I don't know that we haven't found yet a good time, it seems like, for anybody from the schools really to come.
Yeah.
even before COVID, we were having some, but there was majority were people like the rest of us who are not actually working in the school. So, but we had good
Yeah, and it's-
feedback though. We still had some feedback from schools on things, and I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that's kind of how this group might have to communicate to teachers, is kind of like sending surveys for input and information.
Mhm.
And it might just be people like us getting together, but still trying to engage teachers, just not
Mhm.
directly.
And I think, maybe they can provide some, I think Christine does a good job, of course, of sharing some things from her district, and that's very helpful. If we could get even a couple other 3, maybe even, if we could, for somebody from several of the districts in the metro area, but even if we could start, having maybe KCK, somebody out from Johnson County, somebody from KC Mo side, and maybe Jackson, in the Jackson County area additionally, kind of if we could have a little diverse school settings, from urban, maybe more suburban, and some of that, just because there's needs all over, but kind of being able to understand those is a little difficult too.
Yeah.
But if we set our goals as, hey, could we have one person we could talk to from those districts,
Yeah.
from a few different districts, that would help too.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, our group doesn't have to be large to get stuff done. We can have a
Right.
small group of
Mhm.
just a few people who are the larger voice for
Right.
their school.
Yeah. So maybe that's something we could bring as an idea, like if we want to do some type of a survey or an incentive style. I know we could maybe add on to a couple of these other possibilities, but if we want to think about that moving forward, or is it maybe more, or is it a host an event type engaged thing, or maybe it's more of, well, maybe for that we find individuals and then we can, there can be a call or something to connect with them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because if we have to figure out, if we do a survey, we need to get that as an implementation fund. So we do want to use, I don't think that's a bad way to use some of our funds. We still have funds. So
Yeah. So we have 12,000 to start off with, and I believe next year, if
Okay.
we need more, there's a little bit additional funds for each group in case we need more. And again, we can partner with other sectors. So I believe Park still has like 10,000 of theirs, and Sport has all of theirs. And I mean, there's some groups that haven't started, like public health, although Joey has so many ideas.
I bet.
I know he could easily find a way to use that money. But I know he wants to focus a lot on policy and stuff. And I've worked with him before on that. So it'll probably be a focus for the public health group, but policy, like, again, we can briefly discuss like that Senate bill getting passed about doing recess in schools. That might be something we focus on for the public health program, but we can involve that with the school sector. But we can ask for money from any of these groups if we need it. Speaking of other sectors, just an idea. Again, the Just Walk group for the healthcare sector, the subgroup is meeting Tuesday. And we're going to talk about relocating the Pearson Park location to another place on the Kansas side. And we've had interest from Johnson County. So we're just going to talk to the small group first and then figure out what we're going to do. But we could extend that into the schools and do a Just Walk event like after schools and offer it at like a specific school as an event, and we can do that monthly. That might be an idea to kind of like get involved with the healthcare sector.
That was crossing, or if there was a way to help partner by helping promote or do something for the Just Walk. I wrote down, is there a way to partner with that too for schools?
Yeah. I wish there was a way to do it during school as like an activity break. But again, we are also targeting parents. So kind of like, after school pickup would be a great time, and like, just a thought. Because the school would be a great setting. It doesn't have to be specifically at a park. The parks was like us involving ourselves with the park sector, but you could do it with schools. Just a thought. Yeah, any other thoughts on this, like how to connect with other groups or like maybe the direction we're wanting to start going toward. No. Cool. Okay. Well, Jill, since you're on, and I feel like you're probably the only person who did any activities for Bike and Roll School Day, do you want to give a quick update on that?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, we had a great event. Each year I feel like it's just getting a little bit bigger and bigger. And that's no one's fault but my own. But we had this year, since we were doing Washington Elementary, it's a Title I school, and they have like 50% of their families speak Spanish. And so I really wanted to target that audience by bringing health resources to those families. And so we had our community health workers from Johnson County come and set up tables about, they provide all sorts of, rental assistance, finding insurance, all those. So we had 2 of them who are primarily Spanish speaking come out. We had the Lowrider Bike Club come out, and they had all their bikes, which was super cool. We had the police that has kind of like I don't know, you could see it in one of those videos I sent you, Katie, but his kind of like Lowrider police car, which is kind of cool. He was there. And then we had Children's Mercy. We had Laura from the Centerhead for Child Safety. She came. We had K-State Extension bring healthy bagged little kind of like a trail mix snacks. And then of course we had us, and then Safe Kids, Johnson County. There was, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, but so several resource tables we incorporated into the day. And then we also had the middle school band playing, and we had probably over 300 kids. We had Olathe Communities That Care, another group I'm remembering. So it was just great. Like I said, we had a lot, tons of people, participate. We had 3 camera stations there, and it was just one of those days where we got a lot of good attention and good, positive feedback for Washington. So it was a great day. I'm glad it's over. I can relax. But yeah, so if anyone else is interested, I can, or maybe Katie's going to put up the links, but the news channels sent us, after they came out, they sent our PIO the links to the stories, and they kind of really are the best depiction of the day, because I just have still shots. So if anyone's interested, I can share them out, or Katie can, but yeah, it went great. So we're already going to start planning this summer for the fall walk to school day. So it's just when one ends, you pretty much have to start the communication with the next school. So we also, just one last thing, we partnered with Safe Kids Johnson County. We normally provide bike helmets, but this school, after talking to the principal, stated that a lot of the kids, which is interesting in this school, had a problem with their bikes being stolen when they rode the bikes there to school. So that was one of the kind of, hindrances to being physically active to school, because they were afraid their bike was going to get stolen. So we were able to purchase bike locks for them. And so hoping that will be an increase in kids riding to school again, now that they've got their locks. So that was kind of something different, but I never really thought about it. And then it made sense. But apparently the middle schoolers, their schools back up to each other. And they said that some of the middle schools, I think, were coming over and unfortunately taking their bikes. So we will, hopefully that these bike locks will help. But anyway, it was great. So stay tuned for fall when we get our next school. So
I
yeah,
look forward to hearing
put
about
those
that.
in the chat. Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's just 2. They're really long links when I paste them in Zoom. So
Yeah. So yeah, it went great. But trying to see. Yeah. I don't think, yeah, if you get a second, yeah, you might just want to watch them, because it was fun.
So Jill, do you have like schools sign up? I know you work with a lot of different schools, so do you just give them an option and then you pick one to do an event at? Is that correct?
Yeah, I always, so with
That you
Washington,
attend, I guess.
Yeah, for Washington, I also do, I'm one of the on the Olathe Adoptive Schools Committee, which if you're familiar with that. So I asked specifically, I've already had a couple that I was involved with, And so I said, can you give me another Title I school? And so I'm just looking to connect with some, a new one. And so, I worked with Heather Schoonover. I don't know if anyone knows her, but anyway, yeah. So Heather hooked me up with Washington. So that's how I got the in there. And then, so I pretty much just base it on somebody that I haven't worked with in the past, and it's a Title I.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Well,
then,
thank you. Well, go ahead, sorry.
oh, and then I just make sure that they have, like their school is located in an area that's walkable around the neighborhood,
Okay.
that it's not, impossible for them to walk or bike to. So that's pretty much how we base our decisions.
Well, I was, when you were talking about Washington also, I was also thinking about the Just Walk program, thinking, well, that's right next to a middle school would have a track, but then there's also that park right across the street that, to the south of Santa Fe Trail.
Yeah.
So that might be a location that wouldn't be a bad idea for if there was an opportunity sometime to do a Just Walk with connection with the school.
Yeah, I know. And I was, so Allison Wiley, who I work with, is doing taking over this, working with, Shelley and them possibly on the Just Walk location. But I think I just texted her, but I haven't heard back, but I thought they were working somewhere in Shawnee. I don't know. Katie, you may know
That
more,
makes sense.
but I'm not 100% sure. I texted her to ask, but
Yeah,
was it Shawnee?
I want to say it was Sean, it might be, because we were talking with Nicole about different locations. And then when isn't Shawnee, didn't they just do their wellness hub? That's in
Yes.
Shawnee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why. So yeah,
Okay.
it is Shawnee.
Yeah, but yeah, Robin, I know what you're talking about. I mean, that
Yeah.
is a great area, having those two schools plus the park. I mean, that would be ideal.
Maybe it'd be a roving Just
Uh-huh.
Walk move someplace, for another opportunity.
Yeah, no,
Well, and we
I
could
like
all-
that idea.
We could also start off like with a pilot program there. It doesn't have to be set in stone. That's kind of what we're doing with Harris Park in Missouri. We're only going for, I think there's only 4 walks scheduled right now. And kind of seeing how it is and how the community reacts to it, getting input from community members, like not just like, well, what kind of different healthcare topics they would like to learn about and how they feel about the program. And then maybe later on adding some additional like activities. We just had a walk on Saturday, not a good turnout, but I was talking with the healthcare lead, Joby, on kind of ways that we can get the community more involved and ideas for that, like park cleanups during Just Walk events, stuff like that. So kind of making it a larger event, but we could pilot something at a school and just try it out and see how it works. The only thing we'd have to do is apply for our funding, and it's not that much. I think it's like $200 to start a Just Walk program. So we could easily apply through the school sector and start something up.
Yeah,
And that's just for a lot.
Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh,
Yeah.
go
Go ahead.
ahead. I'm gonna put myself on mute.
No, the other thing I forgot to mention, which is one of the biggest things that we did, is we also partnered with Jewish Family Services, and they brought out a mobile food pantry for fresh produce for the families. So wouldn't that be cool if we could bring them? I mean, that would entice people to come to the park for a Just Walk. Maybe they could be there at the start of the walk. I mean, they get fresh produce and they're looking for sites and for partners.
That's a great idea. Try to make it an eventish. I mean,
Right.
it already is with
I'm
Just
just
Walk,
giving them
but
like, yeah, trying to
that's-
think of a reason for them to show up. Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And maybe I was thinking with the schools too, maybe it's an opportunity to work with that school that's going to be near to share that, hey, this is coming on Saturday. I mean, I know we talked about after school, or if it was an after school time, there's some promotion a little bit ahead of time with it location. And maybe that would, I don't know if it would benefit attendees too. Parents requested, because it's not just the kid coming by themselves. So that's, be the other
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
yeah, because parents would have to be there for anybody under 18 to be involved, because we'd have
Right.
to have, just for liability purposes,
Yeah.
they have to read the
Definitely, that's what I
consent
figured. You
decree.
couldn't just, but maybe even if it was even a Saturday, like the normal Saturdays or whatever that
Yeah,
gave it. But maybe you've already promoted it that way through school. I just don't know necessarily.
no, yeah, we were hoping Saturdays would work for a lot of people, but
They're
a
not
lot of
doing
kids are involved in,
Yeah.
sport activities and they've got games on weekends, and it's.
You're right. Yeah.
That's like the hard part, but we could still do a Saturday. doesn't mean we can't.
I think
And
in an after school program, like for those who could do it after school, the time
yeah,
on what,
yeah,
some parents would be available and it'd just be a trial. It's kind of
yeah,
like work with sports sector and schools and healthcare to do something that's one of the, like the baseball or the soccer, I know that all depends on sponsorships because, different medical systems, sponsor different things too. But, when you think about, I don't know, then that'd be a cluster of a lot of people too.
yeah. It reminds
Right.
me of Move More, Get More, the research project I was involved in, because it was a sport sampling after school program. And we were involved with parks and sports and all of that. And we were trying to like just, increase access to different sports for students who never had an opportunity to kind of like learn about them or engage in them. Yeah, I think this is actually the last year, but it turned out really well, and like physical literacy increased, and there's just a lot. But yeah, that kind of reminded me of what you were saying, an after school program like that. And but before I forget, incentives, we can also apply funding for incentives to bring something like a mobile market there.
Okay.
The healthcare sector applied for incentives when they put in their application for the second Just Walk location, and those incentives though involve Just Walk merch, so like t-shirts and stuff like that. But we can also do something along those lines as well as a mobile market. So I love that idea.
We definitely have a lot of good ideas. Now we just need to get some things and get people to come and kind of help a little bit with that. But our next, I don't know, Jill, I love all the stuff when you share about all these events and the things you do, because it's just fun to hear about them, and great things. I'm looking forward to watching the videos of the event from Washington too. But,
Okay.
so I don't know, Katie, on your thoughts on, do we want to kind of think about and have an opportunity, maybe, I don't know if we can talk to Christine or Shelley, or our meeting on the 8th, we want to decide this is what we want. I'm thinking if we want to do some type of a survey, or if we want to try to partner with Just Walk through the healthcare, looking at getting that running in the fall, like give us a little bit of time through the summer to think through how can we make that happen, especially the survey for sure, with teachers being out, in the next 2 weeks, I think. I don't know, the countdown's on it. I think so we could maybe be able to connect with individuals then at early, but have things kind of getting started to be ready if we decide we want to do that, or we need to put together our implementation request, project request, if we decide to do something really around incentives on either side, or any of those type of projects. So
Yeah.
that'd be we could talk about that on our June meeting, or
Yeah.
we could have a little sub call beforehand too, and maybe
I
Jill
think,
into being on the call too, just so she has great ideas and has done a lot of work on this.
yeah, Jill, I love everything you do. I really wish that we could get more schools, like districts, involved to do similar activities. Like that would be my goal. But yeah, so Robin, Shelley's gone for a week, but when she gets back, I'll ask her if she's got some time, and maybe we can jump on a quick call before the June meeting, or we could just use that time and kind of further talk about this idea and set it in stone if we want to apply for funding and push one of these ideas forward.
Yeah.
But so we've got 15 minutes. Well, this did turn out to be a full meeting. There was just, a lot to talk about. I love it. I love the ideas that are going around, and I'm really excited because I really want to like start something to get our strategies moving forward. But speaking of biking, just so you guys know, I'm sure you probably know, Jill, but Safe Routes to School, the 2023 summit, open registration is now open. It's in October. I've got the link if anyone is interested and wants to attend. Besides that, I was just going to discuss the Senate bill that recently passed into law in Seattle, Washington. And I know I mentioned it briefly, but it's really just that K-5 are now ensured to have 30 minutes of recess starting next year. So that was a really cool idea. And Shelley wanted me to share that, kind of just like to give our group an idea as well for maybe something that we could strive to also try and achieve. Because I believe Wyandotte County, I feel like I just know more about them because of Christine.
Mhm.
Something that's excited about that bill passing is it happened because of a group that formed during their state of play, which
Yeah.
we're going to start that process. So it just shows how policy change could happen after those reports.
Yeah, there's some
So
great
exciting.
direct quotes from Julie McCleary. I'm gonna butcher her last name. Is it McCleary? Did I get that right, Natalie?
I think so.
Okay. She was actually our speaker for our sector special summit events for the sports sector. And she was discussing the state of play in Washington and how they achieved that. And so, yeah, what Natalie was saying, it started from the state of play, which is what the sports sector is moving on right now. And I actually have a link to those as well. I've got a link to the press release and then also just the actual bill itself, if you're interested in reading anything on that.
One of the first things they've asked us to do is to form an advisory committee from the sectors, and school is one of them. So we'll need probably your guys' help in identifying who they think that person should be. Which, as far as people that are engaged in the school, is Christine the only person that's active?
That is employed by
Settings.
Mhm.
I apologize. I need to edit these links really quick because it won't let me do like the text display link that's in my Word document. Okay. Got the right ones now. Okay.
It's interesting. It'll be interesting.
Well, there wasn't anything else on the agenda. Just a reminder, next meeting is June 8th. I'll create the Eventbrite probably after this meeting and send that out. But yeah, in the meantime, just keep thinking about ideas and how we get, more school representatives involved and simply just that.
Thank you.
Were there any group updates? I did miss that actually. Skipped over that. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to share that they're doing?
Anything specific.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
yeah, everyone gets 11 minutes back in their day. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.